angel coming for to sing his song. I can hear the drumming. He's coming, and it won't be long. Hear the cry across the nations. People wanna be free, yeah. Free to leave the great plantations. Free to be who they want to be. I see it squeaks out freedom, and it won't be long.
Everett with Ohio for Freedom, and good Thursday evening. It is the 12th of August, 2021. I will say hi to Renee, to Anna, to Tina, and nobody was expecting me to come on live right now, so it's good to see y'all. But I just wanted to get a couple of things out of the way here, and this is going to be brief. And this time, I not only believe it when I say it, it's going to be true, because at 8 o'clock Eastern, I am going to be tuning into Flashpoint, who is going to be coming live from the third and final evening of the Mike Lindell Cyber Symposium. We are going to talk about that just a little bit. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I will say this: cowards, 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 cowards. And just from my little perspective here on this little channel, I can tell you from experience that when you're taking flack, it's because you're over the target. And Mike Lindell and that group, they are over the target in a big, big way. And so we're going to talk about Mike in a little bit. But here's what I want to do, folks. The Senate passed that infrastructure bill. Now, the House still has to vote on it. I don't know if there is time to get to enough of these Congress people, these representatives, to see if anything can be done. But honestly, I think we have to admit that this snuck up on us. And these cowardly rhino Republican senators that voted for this, may their names live in everlasting shame and infamy. Folks, this is a total bogus piece of garbage. There's so much about it that I could talk about it, but I'm only going to focus on just a few things. But first of all, we can't afford it. Second of all, it doesn't accomplish hardly anything for infrastructure. Third, it greatly empowers the Green New Deal. Fourth, it sets up everybody that knows how to soak the government for contracts and grants. Oh my gosh, do they love this thing. It is a fat cat's dream. But I don't think we have to take this land down. So look, there's a lot of things about this bill that I'd like to comment on, things that I've heard, but I'm only going to focus on what I've actually been able to find, because I downloaded the PDF and went through it. And I just want to point out a couple of ridiculous things here, if I can do that, if you'll allow me. This is one of the things that this bill is proposing. Wait, let's get over here. I want to blow this up a little bit, but it helps me if I can see my two screens at the same time. Listen to this. In the name of, say, look, nobody likes drunk driving and nobody likes crashes, okay? But once again, it's like the whole pandemic thing. You use a faux catastrophe to justify an enormous encroachment. So here's one of the things that this law, if this actually goes into a law, I'm reading the number 5 of this page here: to ensure the prevention of alcohol impaired driving fatalities, advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology must be standard equipment in all new passenger motor vehicles. You think in the next 2 or 3 years you're going to need to buy a new vehicle? Well, guess what? It's going to have some stuff on it that you never planned on. So let me show you some of what that is. If I can find this again. I don't know why this guy's giving me grief. This thing likes to do this to me when I don't want this to be happening. Pardon me, folks. Bear with me. And here we go. Now let's get back over to the screen. And what are we looking at? What are we looking at? All right. Okay. Look at this. So advanced drunk and impaired driving. This is some of the stuff that your advanced drunk and impaired driving technology has to have. The term advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology means a system that, listen to this, can passively monitor the performance of a driver of a motor vehicle to accurately identify whether that driver, are you ready for this, may be impaired. Passively monitor. How does it passively monitor you? How, what this technology, what is this AI? Is this facial recognition that passively monitors so it can determine if you may be impaired? First of all, it's kind of like gun confiscation based on the fact that you have a lot of people that didn't register, the criminals. It's punishing the law abiders for criminal behavior. This is punishing the entirety of the American population, all the innocent people. So every grandma, every grandpa, every elderly citizen that only drives from like 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon before it gets dark, they're going to have to pay for this stuff. And this stuff is going to passively monitor them. And again, what's it going to use for that? To prevent or limit motor vehicle operation if impairment is detected. To passively and accurately detect whether the blood alcohol concentration of a driver of a motor vehicle is equal to or greater. So how is your car going to passively monitor your blood alcohol? What's it going to do? Is it gonna measure the air and the cabin of your passenger vehicle? And where does this data go? Is this like wearing a health watch, which I would never wear, where all of your vital statistics that you're, oh my gosh, I can go back and look at my blood pressure. I can look at my heart rate. Yeah. And so can Apple, and so can Google, and so can the NSA and everybody else. Folks, I just think this is very, very concerning. Prevent or limit motor vehicle operation if a blood alcohol concentration is above the legal limit. Now listen, you could make the case. Well, we don't want anybody to have an elevated blood alcohol level. I'm right there with you, but I don't want to punish the entire population, and I don't want the entire population's information freely handed over. And I'm going to use a personal example. What was this one? To passively monitor, to accurately identify whether that driver may be impaired. A while back, we had to go somewhere very, very, very early in the morning. I had to get dropped off. The lovely lady was driving, and she'd only been awake for about 10 minutes. And we hop in the car, and a couple minutes down the road, she's like, I can't drive for a little bit. I'm still not woke up. Why? We veered a little bit. What if we were in that situation and your car locks up? Because aren't people able to make their own decisions and be responsible anymore? But I'm going to keep going. There was one other thing I wanted to show you. Look at this. Not later than 2 years after the date of this enactment of this date, they want to require manufacturers to install in every vehicle that is equipped with a keyless ignition device. Do you have a keyless ignition device? We do. And an internal combustion engine. So if you've got a keyless car, push button car, and a motor, then it will automatically shut off the motor vehicle after the motor vehicle has idled. Now, I know that this has been optional for a long time, but give me a break. I can remember years ago when I was driving to Wisconsin from Bowling Green, Ohio, during just an unbelievable snowstorm. And you know what? We were stuck on the turnpike in Indiana, literally idling sometimes for 2 hours so you didn't freeze to death. And what? You want your car to shut off? And yeah, there might be work, but folks, here's the thing. Why are we giving these people this much control? I'm going to go back. I want to read. I'm just going to read it. Roy Blunt, Missouri. Richard Burr, North Carolina. Bill Cassidy, Louisiana. Shelley Moore, West Virginia. Susan Collins, Maine. Kevin Kramer, North Dakota. Mike Crapo, Idaho. Bill Fisher, Deb Fisher, Nebraska. Lindsey Graham. My God, we got to get rid of that guy. Chuck Grassley. John Hoeven, Senator Mitch McConnell. Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. Our very own, oh my gosh, Rob Portman. God, I'm and see, and here's let me just keep on rolling here. I'm going to come back to Rob Portman, Jim Risch, Mitt Romney, Dan Sullivan, Tom Tillis, Roy Wicker. Well, here's one of the things, something that you might find interesting. When you keep reading through that, this term electric vehicle charging infrastructure, man, they want electric cars. They want to force electric cars on every block, every street, everywhere you turn. And guess what? If that happens, nobody wants it, but that's gonna make some people a ton of money. And if it happens, I'll show you some of the people that it'll make a ton of money for. And look at this, because here's the thing: this electrical vehicle charging infrastructure, that's repeated like a dozen times, but there's so much language about electric cars and charging stations and electric. And guess who's all prepared to capitalize on it? Looky right here. Look right here. This is joint venture, and this was just announced a couple days ago. Bill Gates, Bezos, Bloomberg. So 3 Davos regulars, billionaires, global elitists, they have signed a deal with Cobalt, is this company, but for mineral mining rights in Greenland. And the part that I have highlighted for you is Cobalt's purpose is to discover and develop new ethical sources of the critical materials for electric vehicles. Let me ask you a question. These 19 Rhino Republicans and all the other sleazeballs that signed up for this, do you think that maybe they were lobbied by people that Gates supports, by people that Bezos supports, by people that Bloomberg supports? So, I mean, is it possible that just if we just call a spade and put the cards on the table, that Bezos and Gates and Bloomberg and others had a lot to do with getting this legislation passed? Although it's not been signed off, the Congress still has to go through. Maybe it can be rescued. But by the same token, look who's all poised to capitalize on inflicting their vision of the world on us little people. Does that make you sick? I'm going to read Jim's comment here. Jim, Portman has always voted with the libs. He is an embarrassment to Ohio. So mad. I'm right there with you, Jim. I'm right there with you. And every time I've called Jim Portman's office and he's got that beautiful radio voice and says, I'm so glad you called and I'll get right back to you, he's a liar and he never does get back with you. Folks, there's other things about this bill that I have heard are in there, but I don't want to comment on something that I haven't been able to find. So I'm just going to leave it right there. But this is bad enough. Folks, this is smart technology. This is surveillance in your car. This is Big Brother riding in the car with you and justifying it in the name of, well, we got to prevent those drunk drivers. Folks, can I say something here? You can't take all the risk out of life. You can't. Life has risk and freedom has risk. So give me a choice between freedom with risk and totalitarianism with safety. I think you know which side I'm going to line on. All right. I'm going to just comment briefly because here in a moment, I'm going to join Flashpoint, and you may want to do that too. They're going to be broadcasting from Mike Lindell's. Folks, here, I want to kind of close with just an element here, and I'm going to play this clip for you. This is how Mike opened up the proceedings today. So let's just play that.
Yes. Everybody please be seated. Okay. We've had last night, I'm going to just start with the list of things that happened. So at 10:30 last night, Tina Peters, another guy with her that's here, his house got raided, 4 children. and his house got everything taken, all electronics and everything. Last night when I got to the hotel, I was attacked. And Phil, here we're going to talk about where we're going today in light of this. So Colonel, go ahead.
So in addition to the red team, we started receiving credible threat warnings about 2 weeks ago. So we've had a close team. Close team is what we call somebody's working in the crowd and detecting threats. So we detected disruptors inside, trying to get people ejected, really radical folks outside trying to penetrate. We've got folks exchanging badges in the parking lot, press badges specifically. We've identified those agitators and provocateurs by photo imagery, validated their social media platforms. We've got attempts to take your personal information by some of these folks shoulder surfing. So if you're on your cell phone or your laptop, they're coming behind you and taking imagery.
There you go. There you go. I just want to comment on Bridget's comment here. Bridget says I've watched all 3 days of Mike's symposium. And so, Bridget, I hope you can understand there's been so much information that in just a couple of minutes, I can't do it justice. But folks, they've got the goods. They've got the goods. And but I want to talk about this real quick. I watched yesterday as they were going through information from Mesa County, Colorado, and this Tina, her last name is escaping me, the county clerk there, the courageous one, as she was flying to the event, that scoundrelous Secretary of State raided her office. Folks, they're acting just like Nazis. They're acting just like Nazis. But thankfully, she forensic imaged whatever the server that I don't want to misspeak, but they imaged it. And then later, when the D people came in and did whatever they did, there's a record of that. And I love what Joe Altman said. He said, we can get caught up in the real specifics of like cyber talk that most of us, like myself, I can understand the concept, but I can't look at it and tell what it is or not. But he said that breaches public trust. And on the basis of breach of public trust, that's enough to say, you know what? We need an audit. We need an audit. And there's 50 states represented there, folks. But here's the thing is that Mike Lindell, when you heard him, that man's in pain. I don't know the full details from the stories I've read, but he was whacked in the ribs pretty hard. And you scoundrel coward, you cowards, you cowardly media people trading your media badge for these thugs that come in. You know what that shows to us? You are scared, and you should be scared because we are not afraid of you. Mike may sound a little tired. Mike Lindell may sound a little under his usual energy level, but I tell you what, he's not going anywhere, and we're not going anywhere. And folks, where I want to kind of leave it, and maybe this will kind of work out right because I've got to jump out of here. I did a little walk and talk on Sunday night, and I used the example of when in childbirth, there comes a point where you got to push. And no, I haven't had to do that, but I know about this concept. And my understanding is it's not particularly comfortable, but it is particularly worth it. And it's just what you have to do. And folks, that's where we are. I also said Sunday night that Mike Lindell does not ride on a white horse. He's not going to ride on a white horse, wave a magic wand, and everything is just, puppy dogs and unicorns. The knowledge that they're sharing is very, very empowering, but we, the people, have to do our part. And this may be a good example of what I'm going to show you here right now. And I'm just about ready to close. I'm just looking at one story here. But based on these facts, I can tell you, boy, am I disappointed. Amy Coney Barrett turns down request from Indiana University students to block its vaccine mandate. I almost said vaccine mandate. Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett on Thursday turned down a request from students at Indiana University to block its vaccine mandate. And the reason it was submitted to her is because she is over the Seventh Circuit, which, that's in their area. So I don't know about you. I had really high hopes. And I'm trying to close with this. If you guys care of my 2 cents, I almost want to apologize to this audience, but it's not really an apology. It's maybe just sort of a realignment, because when I talk about things like transhumanism, I kind of tend to laugh it off. When I talk about what these guys are doing, I'm very confident that God wins. I'm very confident, but I kind of tend to laugh it off. But maybe sometimes we minimize the evil intent of the forces of darkness. And folks, I am completely convinced that we are staring evil, Luciferian evil, right in the face. I'm not calling Amy Coney Barrett that. I'm not. But what I'm saying is, I have many times just like, you hear a name and you just kind of breathe a sigh of relief and, they're going to take care of it. I read a quote the other day that was, I wish I'd written it down. And it went basically like this: there is not another United States that's going to come riding into the rescue. This United States, this we the people, has got to stand up. Well, I got news for the forces of darkness out there. This flawed individual here is not going away. And I am one of hundreds of thousands and millions of people that are not going away. And the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And we are going to pull some strongholds down. And we're not just going to wait for the people on white horses to pull them down for us. We got some pulling down to do. Maybe I'm on a rant, but I just wanted to say that. So, folks, I'm going to tune into Flashpoint here in a little bit. But I just want to encourage you, if you're waiting for somebody else to do it, or if you're waiting for this mile marker, stop waiting. Just start appropriating truth and freedom, and do not take tyranny for an answer. Thanks for everybody that joined in. I'm looking at Julie's comment. Yeah, it is very, very disappointing. I promise I'll say one last thing. It's been so long since I went to college, and I did not finish college, but my goodness sakes, you are in college, you're invested in that, and they're holding that over your 20, 21-year-old, 22 body's head that has statistically zero. It's just absolutely unconscionable. And here's the thing. Those students, they got a decision to make. They can either roll over and take it, or they can say, no, we're not going to take it. And I think that's where we all are. Hey, thanks for your comments, folks. I'll try to get back to everybody. It's going to be an exciting night. I don't know what I'm going to learn here in the next couple of minutes, but until next time, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless the state of Ohio, and God bless the United States of America. Good night, y'all.
I hear the sweet sound of freedom, and I won't be